All right, the questioning of the prosecutor is still in progress. We do have a crew there on scene. We'll bring you the very latest from that news conference afterwards. But happening right now in progress, the Lyoya family news conference with their family attorney is happening. We're going to let you listen in live to that right now.
County prosecutor, who certainly has never charged another officer, even though there have been a number of shootings, with this crime before. How clear he believes this evidence to be. Obviously, Mr. Becker and his office will have the full cooperation of both Ben Crump and my law firms and the entire Lyoya family. Last thing I want to say myself before I introduce who's here and then ask Mr. Crump to say a few words. Hopefully he's available. Any and all people in Grand Rapids or anywhere else across the country or this world, there should be no violence whatsoever today or in any in the name of Patrick Lyoya. This family has been absolutely devastated by the death of their son and brother. And the last thing they want is anyone else to get hurt. They've done the right thing. They've come forward. They've cooperated with the authorities. They retained lawyers to abide by the legal system. And that's what they're asking everybody. Let calm be the word of the day. And please honor Patrick. If you choose to demonstrate, protest, or what have you, please do so peacefully. And we want no one else to be injured or killed. To my right, everyone knows, is Peter Lyoya, who is Patrick's dad.
Peter Lyoya mwenyeko babake na Patrick.
Next to Peter is Israel Siku, S-I-K-U.
Israel Siku, S-I-K-U.
He's been our on-demand interpreter, a confidant, pastor, best friend to Peter and the family. Next to Israel, we're blessed to have Grand Rapids Commissioner Robert Womack, who has been supportive and 100% transparent with this family from day one. And he is here at our invitation, and we're eternally grateful for that. To the right of Mr. Womack is Attorney Darren Findling, F-I-N-D-L-I-N-G. Darren is with the law firm Probate Pro in Royal Oak. And the family has retained Mr. Findling as his firm to open up the probate estate, which is pretty standard procedure, but has to happen in order for there to be an initiation of any probate or civil proceedings, such as those that Mr. Crump and I will be discussing and contemplating. Do we have Ben on?
Yes, give him 2 more minutes.
2 more minutes? Okay, well, here comes the soft shoe.
Here he is.
I don't dance well anyway, so thank you. Mar, please don't dance, Ben. Just don't dance. Sorry for the Zoom problems today, guys. I apologize.
Oh, where'd it go? He jumped off. Yeah.
Okay. Before you guys leave, if you want, I have made a copy of the second-degree murder criminal charges.
Mbele mwende nilikamata, niko na karatasi yale masharge yote yenye balifanya contre officier,
There are some what we call lesser included offenses there as well.
na kuko vingine masharge yenye tulikuwa tunasema ya kidogo.
And these are the instructions that the prosecutor will be, or I should say, the judge in the criminal case would be giving the jury.
Na hiyo yenye tutakuwa tunababata jiji atapatia ba jury.
Mr. Crump is in California and I'm trying to break it. Hey, Cliff, how we doing?
I'm great, sir. I'm getting on right now. How you doing?
I'm well, sir. Thank you very much. Appreciate
Yes,
you,
sir.
Cliff.
We got everybody?
We got everybody.
I have more. Give me 60 seconds.
Yes, sir. So if anybody wants a copy of that, Alex Urban from Near Perfect Media has that for you in the written form.
Kila mtu wote mwenye anataka ile kopi, kuko mtu mwenye kopala atapatia hayo.
If you'd prefer it to be emailed to you, let us know, and Danielle Aspin, my executive
Kama
assistant,
wanataka tuwatumie kwa email tutawatumia hayo,
or Alex will handle it.
na Alex atafanya kazi.
Thank you for your patience.
Asante kwa uvumilivu yenu.
Hey, Danielle, we need to get a license in this room, apparently. Look at us. Unlicensed room.
Oh, yeah. Why is he saying that?
All right, and if you are just joining us, we are watching now a press conference given by the family of Patrick Lyoya's attorneys. It is Sven Johnson all the way to your left on the end of the table there, sitting right next to Patrick's father and his translator, as well as Commissioner Robert S. Womack from Kent County. We're just waiting for attorney Ben Crump, the famed civil rights attorney who is also working on this case, to hop on a Zoom call so that he can make some remarks about what we just heard from Kent County prosecutor Chris Becker, second-degree murder charges, which could possibly carry a term of life in prison for Officer Christopher Schur, who is the officer who shot and killed Patrick Lyoya, the 26-year-old Congolese native, here in Grand Rapids on April 4th. We've waited 66 days for this charging decision, and of course we got it today. That investigation was finished by MSP. They were acting as a third party independently to conduct that investigation over the course of these last few months. It was turned into the prosecutor impartial in April. He said he was going to wait a couple weeks just to talk to experts, and we learned today that he had talked to a couple of use of force experts to make this decision. Our Julie Dunmeyer was at that press conference, and we want to hear from her because she was in the room while that was being announced. So, Julie, we now have this. You know what? In fact, we will get back to Julie in a moment, but we are going to hear from attorney Ben Crump now, who is representing the family in the civil matter.
Since the killing of George Floyd, we are on a record pace this year of police killings in America. But hopefully, well, there being a measure of accountability, we can start to prevent some of these unnecessary and unjust killings of black men, completely unjustified. Patrick was shot in the back of the head, as we said, executed. It is more than appropriate that these charges are brought against this officer who did not have to do this. As Attorney Johnson and I have articulated that he could have done any number of things to prevent blowing Patrick Loyola's head off. And so we stand to acknowledge this moment in Grand Rapids as hopefully a step in the right direction to prevent unnecessary excessive force against marginalized people, especially black people in America.
Thank you, Ben.
Thank you, Ben. And to Mr. Loyola, my heart breaks for you and your
roho
family,
yangu inavunjika juu yako na jamaa yako,
because what it says today is an acknowledgement that
na
this
kwa
police
kusema
officer
kama
was
unasema
wrong.
leo yule polisi
He was wrong.
alikuwa mwerevu, alifanya makosa.
This Israel, if you can translate that, let him know, just like we said at the White House,
Gisi tulisema
it
kwa
was
White House
wrong.
ilikuwa
We
mbaya,
said today in Michigan,
alifanya
it is
makosa.
wrong.
Tulisema Michigan leo iko wrong, alifanya makosa.
Thank you, Ben.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Before we turn over for questions, Commissioner Womack, did you want to say anything?
I just really want to thank Ben Crump,
Mimi natafuta kusema asante kwa
Attorney
Trump,
Vern Johnson,
avocat Vern Johnson
for helping to bring national attention to this so we can also help make sure that this doesn't happen anywhere else in
na kusema
America.
kukamata attention ya nation yote, kuonesha kama hii kitu isifikae tena mu Amerika.
I want to thank Peter Lyoya and his family for being patient.
Mimi natafuta kusema asante kwa Peter Lyoya na jamaa yake kukuwa uvumilivu.
Thank Prosecutor Becker for explaining what took so long to have
Asante
this
kwa-
thorough investigation.
Asante kwa procureur Becker kwa kuexplique pourquoi ilikamata muda mrefu,
And just thank his office for sending a message to a community that's been overlooked, a community that has not always found justice, that someone else understands that our lives matter.
na kwa biro yake kwa kusema alituma message mu communauté enye wanakuwa wana mépriser, wanakuwa na minimiser na kuona kama watabangalie, anatuma message ya kusema kama maisha ya watu weusi yote iko na valeur.
Questions, folks?
Yesterday you said you weren't expecting this. What you said you found out ahead of this news conference. What do you attribute it to? The gravity of the unarmed situation? And I'll let you speak. Why do you think it went the way you didn't expect?
Anasema jana ukisema se kama
36 years I've been doing this stuff, folks, and in only one case,
na kesi tu moja
one of sadly hundreds of cases,
na kupitia
has an officer ever been
kesi
charged
100,
before in one of my
ndio
cases.
moja tu ndio washasharge
So
polisi,
that's the level of my cynicism.
na ndio kusema kwa mimi nilikuwa
And I
naangalia,
commend Mr. Becker for getting beyond that.
na mimi nasema Mr. Becker akwe nyuma ya ile.
To me,
Kwangu mie
this was so crystal clear
ilikuwa kuonesha kweli
that these charges absolutely had to be.
hii masharti yote mastaki yote ifale na kuwa
The Michigan State Police doing an investigation clearly led to these charges, which tells you, although they don't make charging decisions,
na
they
Michigan
felt
State
this was
ilifanya hii
what's called,
investigation.
sorry folks, a bad shoot.
Walifanya investigation mpaka
Translation, not justified under the law.
bakafika
Yes, even with resisting arrest.
aliua mbaya.
Yes, even with the potentiality for alcohol.
Hata kama alikuwa anakunywa pombe.
Yes, even if there were other criminal issues going
Hata kama
on.
kulikuwa ingine masharti criminal.
It's so crystal clear, the prosecutor
kwa procureur
filed charges in second-degree murder because, as we've been saying from day one, none of that stuff matters as it pertains to this interaction on that day.
kuangalia hiyo interaction yenye ilikuwa katikati ya Patrick na polisi.
I hope I answered your question.
Mr. Johnson, but does Mr. Lyoya want to make a statement? Does he want to say anything?
Not right now. He's going to
Alright,
answer questions,
understood.
please. Go for it.
Ben, can you share, since Mr. Becker called you before you came out here, and that was a private moment?
Yes.
Can you share with us both your reaction and Patrick's dad's reaction to
Well,
that call and that decision?
To be fair, and to be accurate, Mr. Becker actually called Peter.
aliita njo Patrick,
But I, of course, identified that I was in the room so that he knew.
alikuwa mshambre mule,
In our legal world, that is a professional courtesy, and I would want the same.
na nilikuwa nasema yote juu ifale napitikana juu mimi niko avoka wake.
So when Peter answered the phone, he put it on speaker.
Wakati Peter alijibia simu akaitia kuspika,
I introduced myself.
nikajiintroduce.
He was already aware of Israel Suku,
Alikuwa shakunijua
but
Israel,
I explained to him that he is our interpreter
na nikamfasiria kama njo interpret wetu,
and that we were all ears.
na tulikuwa hapa.
It was very brief.
Alisema kwa kifupi,
It was very to the point,
alikuwa direct,
even shorter than what he did in the press conference.
sema ilikuwa mfupi kupitia ile kupatikana mu conference de presse,
And he expressed his condolences
na akasema amekondoleanza, akasema pole yake kwa jamaa
apologized for what had to feel to the family like taking too long.
Na kalomba msamaha kwa yote yenye ilisema ilifikana kwa jamaa na kisikamata muda mrefu.
Explained why
Na
it took that long.
Akajifasiria kwa sababu nini ilikamata muda mrefu.
And just like any good, responsible prosecutor promised that there would be follow-up.
Na kisi procureur wote general alisema procureur wote tena kusema atendelesha nafuatilia kesi.
In terms of cooperation between the family and the prosecutor's
Na
office.
coopération entre famille na bureau procureur.
Peter, would you like to comment on what that felt like to you when you heard those words?
Anasema eske Peter tena kuambia watu ulijisikia hizo ulisikia ile verdict.
Ninaweza nikaambia watu kwanza, ninaanza na kusema asante kwa huyu prosecutor.
First, I want to say thank you to this prosecutor. That's what I want to tell the people.
Nasema asante kwa Ben Crump lawyer.
I want to say thank you to Ben Crump, the attorney Ben Crump.
Nasema asante kwa
Van Johnson. I want to say thank you also to attorney Van Johnson.
Kwa hii point tunafikia eko,
where we have come today,
kweli roho yangu ilikuwa imevunjika kwa hii miezi miwili.
My heart was really broken during these 2 months, the past 2 months.
Basi maneno yalikuwa yanasemewa,
because a lot of things were said,
lakini uhakika sikukuwa nao.
I was not quite sure with the truth in my hand.
Basi na nilikuwa naona kabisa labda hakuna sheria ya Marekani.
And I was thinking maybe there's no justice in America.
Lakini kwa kufuatana na gisi procureur anasema,
and to go according to what the prosecutor just said,
kwa kumchaji huyu polisi ambaye amemuua Patrick,
to charge the police officer just killed who killed Patrick.
Kweli Patrick hatarudia.
Patrick is not coming back.
Tutamuonaka.
We are not going to see him again.
Lakini hii pointi ya kuonesha kama huyu polisi atakuwa charge,
and to show this point that the police officer will be charged,
basi inakuwa na sawa, inakuletea na si uzito kidogo kwa familia kuona kama wale ambao wametusupport wamefanya wako katika kazi ya mzuri.
And that bring a little bit consolation to our family, because we see everybody that will support us, everybody who stand by us, they did a good job to get this kind of justice.
Lakini nitawashukuru sana nyie wote.
And I want to say thank you to all of you, the media.
Hatutaishia hapa.
We are not done here.
Lakini tuendeleshe kutafuta mpaka tupate justice ya mwisho.
Let's go till to the end and let's get the last justice for Patrick.
Basi namalizia pale na washukuru sana.
I want to just stop there and want to say thank you so much.
Thank you. Sir.
Ben Israel, for Commissioner Womack. You guys have been on this for a long time and seen that video over and over. As difficult as it is to watch, do you think you would have gotten those charges without it?
Since it only shows the truth, I would certainly hope so. But let's be real. In a word, no way. Or is that 2 words?
Israel, I mean, for the first demonstrations, you had members of the community on the ground recreating that.
Anasema demonstration ya kwanza tulifanyaka, tulicreate, tukatia moto chini.
As it is,
anasema important.
Do you think that we would be here without that?
Anasema unafikiri tungifika hapa kama tungifanya ile demonstration? You want me to answer or you want him to answer?
Peter, if you're comfortable.
Unatafuta kujibia, kama hakungikuwa video unasema tungipata justice leo.
Mimi najua hatungeona ile video na kuonesha gisi Patrick ameuawa, najua hatungefika kwa hiyo hatua ya leo.
Okay, I want to say, and I know if we didn't see the video and if we didn't show the world what happened to Patrick, we were not going to be here where we are. And also myself, I was going to say that thank you to the media, special to Miss Edward and Jacqueline. They were the first person to contact, and I had an interview with them and tell them exactly what happened in the video. It's because of the video and what we did, and attorney and by Mr. Crump, that what we have got a little bit justice, what we have heard today. Without that video, there will be no justice at all.
Robert?
And I'd like to say, once I heard from a few people on the scenes that he had been shot from behind, that's when I began to write a chant and talk about, show the video, we want the world to know. And that just became one of the refrains while we were in Grand Rapids. And it really just shows that without video, without body cam, how many black lives have been lost in the past that did not find justice. I'm so happy to see the justice system working, because my main reason to be involved is to show young people that there are alternatives to burning down buildings. There's alternatives to throwing bricks. We don't want any violence. But I understand how the youth feel. I understand how young people feel. I understand the frustration. As Attorney Johnson said, he's only seen one more time in Michigan cases he had where police was charged. And now we're up to 2. So young people have saw the justice system work in the favor of police officers, whether innocent or guilty. Quantified immunity is something that they're familiar with, and they're frustrated. But days like this prove that we can believe in a process. We can believe in it. But the process, if we did not ask for a thorough investigation, we have proof that there's been video that's been deleted before and lost at the Grand Rapids Police Department.
Let me chime in twice on that. Lauren, I know you're going to ask me this. I'm clairvoyant on this issue.
Yeah.
All I have is what you all have. I still don't have the Michigan State Police, which, talk about first time in 36 years. I've always get the police report on behalf of the family before now. They withheld it till today, so I cannot wait, and yes, I will share it. You all know I will. Because it's a FOIA document, Freedom of Information Act request, and I put that in air quotes. The evidence is, we all know that the body cam was turned off. The only way this body cam turns off, is to hold the button down for 3 continuous seconds. Hello? This was not an accidental turnoff. More later. Video. Critical, not just to prosecute a police officer, but the statistics show, y'all, that it actually inures to the officer's benefit the overwhelming majority of the time. But what is happening in our police agencies is there is a non-compliance rate that is so high that they never turn them on, they turn them off. I would argue, without a whole lot of proof, they erase it easily. In half the cases that I deal with body cams, on-dash cams, it wasn't working that day. It didn't record the right way. Fact of the matter is, we as a society, you folks in doing what you do, and again, thank you, great work. We need to hold our police agencies, our cities, responsible for using this equipment every single day, every single time. No matter what happens, let the chips fall where they may. That's what I call transparency. Not using that word while I'm telling you why I'm hiding something from you.
And that was my question. The point of contention from day one was that body cam and how it was knocked off or turned off. And so I was going to ask, are you still going to look into that?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
And what could come from that? If you find discrepancies, what could come from that?
One of the missing pieces of evidence when the MSP report was given to Mr. Becker,
wakati raporo ya Michigan State Police
as he
ilipatia,
claimed,
alisema si walimpatia,
was the download from the on-dash camera on
anasema
top of the
ilikuwa yenye walitelecharge kutoka ku dashcam,
dash of the car,
kutoka ku voiture
and I lied, sorry, body camera,
and
and
body camera
the taser,
Na
which
taser.
likewise has video
na ilikuwa na
capabilities.
video,
Typically, we'll find out all together.
na tutakuwa tunaangalia
So what you're going to find is that this body camera never was turned off accidentally ever before in history.
wanasema sasa hii ukiangalia
Except on
hii makamera yako mwili
April 4,
hakuna hata siku moja
2022. So
washaizimisha
that would
bara zake.
certainly damage Officer Schuer's what will clearly be his version of what happened
na
that
ile
day
vraiment
on a variety
itavunja
of
version yake
topics.
yote mubaya yenye alikuwa anasema ya
So
bongo.
we'll see. Yes,
So-
you know, Lauren, I am going to
Unajua.
If I could
go
say
crazy
something
on that.
quick, I would say, with all the money we pay
Na hiyo
as
yote kusema sema kote yenye
taxpayers for
tuko
body
tunalipa
cams,
kama baba taxpayer.
only civilians caught the footage of Patrick Lyoya actually being shot.
Basi basi
Not
banani
the dash
wasivile
cam,
ndio
not the
walikamata
police department
image
officer's
walikuwa wanapiga
car,
Patrick
not the
risasi.
body cam.
Hakukuwa hata
Only
body
the
cam,
ring
hakukuwa hata mtu gari.
of a neighbor
Ilikuwa
and the
kamera ya neighbor.
passenger who thought fast got out the car
Ndio mwenye
and
alitoka
filmed
mgari akaanza
was the
kufilm.
actual shooting caught.
Na ndio mwenye alishipiga ile masasi. Alikuwa anaona
On that point, Robert, we often see online, right, videos now of everything, and people that are filming are often harassed by police and people online. And again, my question to you all is right back, where would we be without it?
na tungekuwa wapi kama vingekuwa
So, great question. Yes, sir.
2 points for clarity, please. When did the phone call come specifically? Like a
You mean for Mr. Becker?
yes. How long before this news briefing?
Approximately, it was 3 o'clock press conference, 2:55-ish. We were literally, I'd gotten out of my chair and we were walking to this room.
And secondly, I have not heard, and maybe I'm not paying close enough attention, but the reason why it took 2 months.
Anamuuliza
Can you
cette question.
Can you paraphrase what you were told?
saa ngapi njo ilifika apele ilifika.
Yes, Mr. Becker
Anamwambia saa apele
said
ilifika
that he
ilikuwa
felt
mwe
the
14
need
September.
to wait for the downloads
Anasema
of the
sasa
on-body
ilikuwa
camera,
anachunga wampatie
in other words,
telecharge
from other days,
ya ile kamera
and the
ilikuwa.
download from the taser from other days. They already had what they had on the day of. That's what he said. He apparently also did not go into detail, but publicly, I've read, that he said that he wanted to contact experts. And you all will remember in George Floyd,
Unakumbuka mkaa ya George
one of the
Floyd?
first things that we all saw on TV, and number one thing I want to say to you all, please insist on being in that courtroom every single day in Kent County, Michigan, for every part of this trial, for every hearing, for every trial,
George Floyd, kitu ya kwanza walisema mtelevisheni ilikuwa nini?
so that the public obviously can see this process, which I think only makes us stronger.
Iko na balomba bote bakwe mkuru kila siku sasa tuko tunafanya hivi.
Lost it. Where was I
You
going?
gave me what I needed.
What was the second part? What the heck was I
The second
saying?
part was why it waited 2 months.
Oh,
You said so.
he said that he wanted to talk to experts. And in George Floyd, what was one of the most critical parts is you saw chiefs of police
Uliona chef of
from
police.
not just Minneapolis, but from other
Minneapolis.
places across the country coming in to say, no, what this officer did was not what he was trained, was wrong. You're going to see the same thing in this case. You watch. In criminal and in civil.
Itakuwa mcivil na mcriminal.
I want to see Christopher Sure fired immediately.
Mimi
I'm sure
natafuta
our
Christopher
community would want the
bamfukuze.
same thing.
Bamfukuze.
Do you know if the Department of Justice may still get involved in terms of filing civil rights complaint or filing charges on those end, or no? Is that
Help me to I didn't hear your first part. I'm sorry.
The Department of Justice,
Yes.
Reverend Sharpton had asked for the DOJ to get involved.
Yes.
Is that something you would still ask for, and could they also possibly get it, or no, do they
Oh.
have to wait for this to play out?
Lucky for me, I don't have to wait for it because Ben Crump's already done it. But there's no question, just like with Officer Chauvin in the George Floyd murder,
Anasema sa kwa
you can have two different tracks, one state, one's federal. So without any question, we will be formally asking the Department of Justice to be reviewing this thing. And to refresh your memories, after Chauvin was convicted of the same crime that Officer Schuer, y'all, was charged with today, second-degree murder, if that was lost on anybody, same crime, a little bit different words sometimes because it's Minnesota versus Michigan, same crime. Once he was convicted of that, then he actually, Chauvin, pled guilty to the federal charges in federal court in Minneapolis. So we would ask that the same review process, and obviously anything we learn that we can make public, we will do so.
Has Peter had a chance to tell his wife about the charges?
Anasema kama ushapata chance ya kumwambia bibi yako juu ya masharti.
Bado sijamwambia.
No, he hasn't. He has been here.
Exactly. What will this mean to his family?
Anasema
When you
hii
share that news.
itakuwa na signification gani kwa jamaa yako sota bapatia kama polisi wanamkamata culpable na wanamsharji?
Oh. Mimi naweza nikasema kwa jamaa yangu.
What I can say to my family,
wakati wangali wanasikia kama huyu polisi angali kwake, analala kwake, anaenda sokoni kuemea, mpaka hivi hawajakubali kama huko sheria yenyewe itakamatiwa juu yake.
From the moment they was keep hearing that the police officer was still free, he was at his place, he could go to the market, he could shop, he could spend time with his family. They really strongly believe that there was no justice in America until maybe today.
Yeah, basi na kwa hii najua kama kweli hawatakubali mpaka watakubali wakati ile muda itafika, wasikie kama wamemchaji na ameenda labda amesimamishiwa kazi au ameenda jela.
And he said from now, even though they may not believe 100%, until when they will see him be fired, being arrested and be put to jail, that when they will be a little bit happy to see that justice has been served.
Then does any
The meeting with President Biden, the meeting he had with President Biden, I didn't get a chance to ask about that. How did that go with the meeting with the president? What did he say to him?
Well, you certainly want to hear from my client versus a lawyer. It was one of the greatest privileges of my lifetime, after doing this type of work for 36 years, to be with my client and Ben Crump in that room. But what was not lost on me or anybody in that room were the folks that we were in that room sharing that moment with were there for one reason, because they'd lost a loved one like Peter lost Patrick. So it was a very intense, very emotional day, and to see a sitting president for the first time in United States history sign an executive order on police reform. To say it was long overdue would be disrespectful to President Biden, but it was wonderful to see that first step on what we believe needs to be a number of steps that should go a lot farther than that was. But we were greatly appreciative. My client, through Israel, Mr. Saku, had a very nice one-on-one conversation with President Biden right here and Vice President Harris right there. And it was very emotional, to say the least. From a lawyer, now I'll give you the real answer. The President, when we were with the President, what did you think and feel?
Can I state what
and the Vice President?
Can I state what Peter told the President?
Yes.
When he shook the President's hand, he looked the President in the eyes and he said, I need justice for my son. I came to America as a refugee. I ran away from war. I thought maybe I would be safe with my family here. But my son has been killed. I just need justice. And there's a very interesting that the President did. He said, I know. When he told him, he said, I am Patrick Lyoya, father. The President said, I know. That to show you the kind of man that he is. He's paying attention to his people. And that was a little bit consolation for Peter. And when he told him that I need justice for my son, the President looked at him and said, I know.
It should not be lost on anyone in this room. There was only one family there who hadn't already been through a criminal and or civil process, Loyola's, and we were still in that room. So clearly, to the President and Vice President of the United States, even though criminal charges were not pending at the time, they knew how bad this was. And we acknowledge that and we thank them for what they did that day. Commissioner? Please.
When you talk about thinking about civil proceedings,
yes.
Do you wait until formal remand on criminal, or does there have to be a
Niko
conviction?
namuuliza juu ya
Or do
kwenda
they-
sasa na
timing in regards to
na
such filing?
kuporte plainte civile.
There
Niko
is
nasema
no
wala-
law that prohibits me
Sasa
or
kuna
us
law yenye
from
inamu-
filing a civil case at
inamuprotege.
any time.
Inamkataza
So we
kusema
could have done it
sasa.
already had we chosen
Tena
to.
kuifanya yote.
But obviously I work